You feel like an imposter? I feel like that is the buzzword of the century. Everyone feels like they have imposter syndrome, right? But here's a joke. You are going to feel like an imposter until you decide that you don't want to anymore. So most experts feel like imposters until they make a decision not to feel like that anymore. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to break down how you can position yourself as a go-to expert without actually changing anything except for your mind. So authority is built on our perception, how we see the world and how we perceive ourselves in that world, right? So it's not just expertise. This is seen so much. I've been talking about this so much. This isn't the first time I've said this. Like there's people out there who are way less skilled than you, who are doing way better than you. And so that doesn't make sense unless we look at it from they have something different. They're doing something differently, right? While you're wasting time gaining more skills, more certifications, waiting for the right moment. While you're doing all of that, other people are just taking the action and putting themselves out there, right? They're just positioning themselves as the go-to expert while you are trying to become an expert with skills and more knowledge instead of experience. Right. So there's a bit of a give and take with this, right? Yeah, we need to learn. Yeah, we need to get some education. Yeah, we need to have some skills. Yeah, we need to work on those things. And there's nothing wrong with certifications. I have plenty of certifications, but there are so many times I use my certifications as a crutch not to get visible and not to put myself out there. And as another way for me to make an excuse of why I wasn't quite the expert yet. So that's a big piece of what we're talking about. Right? So it's not about having them or not having them. It's about, are we using them as a crutch from us showing up? So someone you see as an authority, someone you think is doing really well, even if maybe they're not the most experienced, or maybe they don't have the most credentials, right? So they have experience because they're putting themselves out there. They're putting themselves in positions and places to gain experience, but maybe they don't have the same level of certifications you do. Maybe even their skill isn't as strong as yours, right? That's what we're talking about. It's not the most skilled that are at the top. It's the most persistent. It's the ones that are willing to get visible and not cower down to that fear of showing up. So what is all in that fear? What keeps us from showing up? Well, it's your fear of visibility. It's your fear of rejection. It's your fear of judgment. It's all those different aspects that come in and say, stay small, right? Stay small. If we just keep learning, if we sign up for this new course, if we sign up over here, or we do this, or we get this mentorship, or we do this, and we're so distracted that we don't actually show up in our business. We don't show up online. Right? We don't make the videos. We don't make the posts. We don't do the things, right? We don't create the blogs. We don't do all those things because we're just not quite ready, right? So when you feel like you're an imposter, you're afraid to charge more, right? You're scared to share your work. You're afraid to get out, be seen, right? And this is rooted, it's very common, like my favorite saying, same shit, different package. So most people who aren't showing up are doing the same things, but where it was originated and how it was conditioned and ingrained in us is always different. That's why I always like to lean on my TRM, my trigger response method. So the trigger is always that external event that leads to a response or reaction within us, right? It's the trigger that creates the emotional reaction. We're going to start to look at finding our triggers as the clue, using our triggers as the clue. Right? What are the clues that we need to look inside? And that's where the TRM comes into play. Right? So we have the TRM, it's the trigger response method. So the trigger is the external event that creates the internal reaction. And so when we can use that as a clue and an indication of why we're playing small, what the fear is, where it's based out of, what was the conditioned belief in it, then we can start to change that relationship with it. Then we can start to show up. Right? So first we just have to identify that trigger, right? What is the external event? And then is it causing a reaction within us? And then we start to understand that trigger a little bit more in depth, right? What is that emotional reaction? How do I actually feel? What is actually coming up in me? Is it fear? Is it worry? Is it excitement? Is it the unknown? What is actually coming up? What's the emotion I feel with that trigger? And then we start to explore in a little more depth about where maybe it came from. Where is this rooted at? Like, what's the root of this trigger? Was it in childhood? Is it a belief that somebody, or a thought or a belief or something that somebody else told you to be true? Right? Is it conditioned? Did you grow up in an environment where wealth just wasn't accessible? And money doesn't grow on trees. Like, that's not meant for us. We're not wealthy, right? That's not our class, right? What is it? What's the story that you have in your head? Did someone tell you that you were stupid and not good enough and not capable? And then you repeated that story over and over and over in your head. Like, where is this rooted? And what does that belief mean to you? Right? So we're starting to explore it so much deeper. And then we get to this point of the one place that everyone hates, and I say it every time, and that's your payoff. Right? We gain things from keeping these beliefs in our system. We lean on them. We gain something from it. It gives us something in return, and that's usually safety, right? It keeps us safe. Right? So if we think we're not capable and we believe that belief and we create from that belief, then guess what? If things don't go so well, we have something to fall back on. Right? We have a reason why that it didn't have to work out. Right? Does that make sense? It keeps you safe. Right? So the visibility or the judgment, it's not as hard because you were already judging yourself, right? It kept you safe. It kept you from getting yourself in rooms where you felt contracted, where you felt like you might be rejected. Now you can keep playing that game, right? That's the game you can play, but you're not going to make it to where you want to go. Right? You're going to keep in that same cycle and you're going to get a little bit of momentum. And you might feel a little bit of success, but it's only going to get you so freaking far, right? It's only going to get so much movement. So that's what you have to be really mindful of. Incredibly mindful of. So there is a payoff. And until you understand that payoff, I promise you're going to keep playing that same game. And it's going to keep showing up in your life and it's going to keep causing you a disruption. So then after you understand what that payoff is, right, then you start to get a little more comfortable with it and you're not judging it. It's like, yes, this is what it served me. Now I get to make a different choice. Now I get to do something differently. Now my response actually gets to be different, right? So we're going from trigger to response. And you're going to have to do this over and over and over, but until you start evaluating it, you're going to keep finding yourself in those cycles. You're going to keep finding yourself playing small and holding back and feeling like that imposter because something's telling you that you are an imposter. Something's making you believe that you're not ready, that you're not smart enough, that you're not capable enough, or this is not meant for you, or you're not worthy of this success. Because you are believing it, right? You're operating out of a story that is holding you back. So you have to be able to do this work. You have to be able to shatter these paradigms. You have to be able to be willing to get uncomfortable in going through this journey. So if you are like a coach like me, right, and you want to raise your prices, but you just don't think it's meant for you, you're going to stay small. You're not going to put your offer out there. And you're definitely not going to talk about your pricing because you're not going to feel aligned with it. You're not going to think that you're worth it. I was like that for so long. I didn't think I was worth the amount that I wanted to charge. So guess what? I didn't charge that. And then also guess what? People weren't buying at my lower ticket prices. Why? Because I wasn't worthy? No, because they could feel the energy that I didn't believe it. Right. So what changed when I started doing this work and I started understanding my income ceilings and the beliefs that I had around money very specifically and the beliefs that I had around my worth and my ability to get money. Right. So it was a big thing. I thought money was great, but I never thought I was the one that could achieve the money. I always thought it was going to be someone else, right? It was going to be my husband's job and role to make us a lot of money because I didn't think I was smart enough to do it. So when I got into that position and I was having to ask for it and I was having to earn that money, what do you think was showing up? What energy do you think was presenting itself? Well, the energy that I wasn't capable, or the energy that I was not the person who was worth earning the money. And so that's what we have to get behind. Right. So if we just stay on this surface of like, well, how do we feel about money? Well, I believe money is meant for me. Okay, but do you believe that you are capable of earning it? Right. So what's your story associated with that? What's your story to your income, your ceiling, the ceiling for your income? There's always going to be something that holds us back here, right? There's always going to be something that makes us feel like an imposter, whether that's your education or this need and this desire to always have more certifications or more courses or masterminds. And masterminds are great, right? I have my own. I'm a part of them. They're wonderful, but they can be used so much as a crutch. So you're not responsible for how you're showing up. So now we move into like, how do you do this? How do you become the authority? Right? So okay, we worked on now you believe in yourself, right? Now you are working through, you're doing the things, you're embodying your message is how you become the authority, right? So once you understand what prevents you from embodying that message, then you can start to master it. You can master the visibility and your messaging and self-trust. Right. So let's go into this first one with mastering your messaging. So the clearer you are, the more authority you build, the more people are attracted to you and the more people know how you can help them. It's as simple as that, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. However, what happens is that we're not embodied in that message. And so then it gets very conflicting. So I'm telling you to do something, but maybe the energy and the beliefs behind it on my end aren't there. So you can't feel it or receive it or think it's meant for you because there's something within that you're rejecting, because I'm rejecting myself, right? So that's why it's so important that the clearer you are, the more authority you build. And then the more that you believe it, the more other people will believe it. Right? So one thing about a clear message is a very simple concept. If you confuse, you lose every single time. Right? If you confuse them, you will lose them. They will be out the door. They're not coming back. Right? That's just a saying that I like to think. I like to remind myself: be clear and concise, and let people know how you can offer them or how you can help them, how your offer can help them. Right? Clear and concise. So you can just define your work, your offer, right? Do you have a signature framework? Mine's the TRM, right? There's lots of different things that are involved in what I do, but I always bring it back to that TRM. It's so foundational in my work. So people know that about me. They know that of me. They expect that from me. The next thing, number 2, visibility is absolutely everything. If nobody knows who you are, if they've never seen you before, how in the world do you expect them to buy your shit? It's as simple as that. Oh, I showed up on my stories the other day. Oh, I put a video out. I did a live one time and nobody showed up. Or I posted ones on YouTube and I got like -5 views on it. Right? Who cares? Keep doing it. You have to get visible, or you have to keep showing up. That has to be something that you are willing to do. And if you're not willing to get visible, if you're not willing to show up, then you have to ask yourself, why? How am I holding myself back? Why don't I want to be seen? Right now, we're going full circle back to that TRM. What's that trigger? What's my response? What's my belief associated with that? And why does it contract me? Why am I contracted right now? That's what we're getting into, right? So post daily. Talk about your offers. Put yourself out there. Get uncomfortable. Get on some podcasts. Start speaking. Do whatever it is. Create the content. Call out the problems. Attract the people. Embody your leadership, right? Don't sit around watching other people do it and they're doing it not as good as you could do it. Just start doing it, right? They're doing it better than you because they are showing up in their craft. And every single time they are getting better and better and better and better. And then the third part of this is your self-trust, right? Like when we start to trust ourselves, when we stop waiting for permission from anyone else and we give ourselves our own permission and we decide that we're the expert, we decide that we're successful, we decide that it's meant for us, and we remove. We decide and we remove all of the beliefs that say otherwise, because you can decide that you're those things, but if there's something blocking you and telling you, oh, but you're not worthy, oh, but you're not successful, oh, but you're not the expert, then you're not embodying the message. So we decide, we take action, and we remove the beliefs that block us, that prevent us from embodying our leadership, right? From stepping into our next level of success, right? That's part of self-trust. That's how we trust ourselves. So confidence isn't built before action. It's built through action every time. You're going to gain the competency that you're looking at by stepping into what you need to step into. And the confidence is going to come, right? Competence, confidence loop. It's going to go and go and go. The more competent you become, the more confident. The more confident, then you gain more confidence to become more competent. And it's just going to circle, circle, circle for the rest of your life. All right. So go out there, make your offers, believe in yourself, do the work, understand what's holding you back. Right. These are some major, major aspects. Right. These are some major things that hold you back. And if you're ready to go deeper, I have an offer for you. You can jump into my membership. It's called the Shifter, and it's where we do shifts daily, right? We get little nuggets from me every single day. And so I would invite you into that room, invite you into the space where people are doing this. People are shifting their confidence. People are raising their competence, and they're doing it in their own way, by their own intuition, right? They're just surrounding themselves with people who are doing the same thing. Such a beautiful space. And I would love to welcome you into that space. And then just let me know, what are you taking away from this video? Like, what's something that you can start to integrate this week? What does that look like for you? How can you gain more confidence? How can you step into that authority that we know that you are? And remember, that authority is not waiting until you're ready. You're never going to feel ready. There's always more to learn. There's always more to gain, right? Having authority is about stepping into your expertise right now by owning it, embodying it, living it, believing it, and getting all the other shit out of the way that prevents you from feeling it and experience it today. Thanks so much, guys.